What's up, NG fam? Welcome back to the Prairie Legacy here on College Hoops 2K8. And yes, sir, you already know what time it is. It's time for Selection Sunday. But before we get into Selection Sunday, we're going to cover the conference champions for each tournament. And first up, we have the American East Conference, where New Hampshire ended up beating Stony Brook in the championship game by 20 points. And in the ACC, North Carolina, the top team in that conference, made it all the way to the championship game, but they were upset by Wake Forest. At the end of the season, Wake Forest's record was below 500, so they will punch their ticket with an automatic bid. And in the Atlantic Sun, you got the USC Upstate guys beating Kennesaw State easily. And in the Atlantic 10, you got Xavier taking out St. Joseph's. And in the Big East, Providence takes the cake as the best team in the nation. They won the regular season conference championship as well as the tournament championship. And the Big Sky championship goes to Portland State after beating Montana by 9. And for the Big South, you got the UNC Asheville beating VMI 89-67. And the Big Ten championship goes to Penn State after upsetting Purdue, the second best team in the nation, by 10 points. And in the Big 12, you got Texas A&M taking out Kansas. Two top 25 ranked teams duked it out, but Kansas ended up getting blowed out there. A high scoring game though. And the Big West Conference championship goes to Cal Poly after beating Long Beach State. And Georgia State surprised a lot of people in the Colonial Conference by beating Delaware. And the Conference USA championship goes to Memphis, who's currently ranked 15th in the nation. They took out Houston in that championship game, and they will punch their automatic bid as well. And the Horizon Conference goes to Cleveland State after beating Illinois Chicago by more than 20 points. And the Metro Atlantic Conference Championship goes to Fairfield after taking out Rider 109-103. And the Mid-American Championship goes to Ohio after beating NIU 97-92. And the Mid-Continent Conference Championship goes to South Utah. They won that game 84-69 against Western Illinois. And the MEAC championship goes to Bethune-Cookman after taking out North Carolina Central 79-71. And Creighton ended up being the champions of the Missouri Valley Conference tournament after beating Wichita State 101-79. And the Mountain West championship goes to BYU after beating New Mexico 98-65. And Sacred Heart came out on top in the Northeast Conference tournament after beating St. Francis 71-68. And in the Ohio Valley Conference, Murray State took the cake 113-78 against Austin Peay. And in the Pac-10, USC slid all the way to the championship game and pulled off the upset against the number 13th ranked UCLA Bruins. And the Patriot League championship went to Bucknell after they beat Holy Cross by 9. And in the SEC, you had Florida and Kentucky face off in the championship game, and Florida came out on top by 7. And in the Southern Conference, Georgia Southern ended up losing to UNC Greensboro by only 1 point. And in the Southland Conference, Stephen F. Austin took it to UTSA 107-75. And the Sun Belt Conference Championship goes to Middle Tennessee after they defeated Arkansas State 74-66. And the West Coast Conference Championship game was decided by 2 points as St. Mary's defeated LMU 88-86. And last but not least, the Western Athletic Conference Championship goes to Hawaii after they took it to Nevada 95-80. So next we're going to slide into the selection show, and I'm going to let Clark Kellogg take over from here.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Greg Gumbel here with my partner Clark Kellogg, bringing you the 2K Sports NCAA Selection Show. We're all set to show you the seedings and pairings, so get out your bracket sheet, get those pencils ready. Here are the basics. Of the 65 available tournament bids, 31 are automatically given to conference champions. The tournament committee hands out the remaining 34 bids on an at-large basis. An opening round game will take place on Tuesday night to narrow the field to 64 teams. Before we get into the brackets for the upcoming tournament, let's take a look at the final top 25 media poll. The rankings look a little different than they did last week. The Memphis Tigers jumped all the way from the number 15 spot to number 9.
They're peaking at just the right time, Greg. This is exactly the way you want to be playing going into the tournament.
Also, a new team has made the leap into the top 25. The USC Trojans break into the poll as the number 24 team. Now let's take a look at the NCAA tournament bubble and see which teams are sitting at home with their fingers crossed, hoping to see their name in the brackets. There are a lot of worthy candidates among these 10 teams, Clark. Which of these bubble teams stands out to you right now?
Maryland should be considered among the best of the major conference teams not holding an automatic bid. But there are plenty of non-power conference teams knocking on the door that may prevent them from getting an invitation.
And we have a few more teams in similar position, right, Clark?
Vanderbilt can make a case as to why they deserve a tournament bid. Problem is, everyone else can make a case as to why they don't belong in the tournament.
I'm sure it's been a long week for those teams, but the wait's almost over. The NCAA Selection Committee has finished its meeting, and we're ready to unveil the top 4 seeds in this year's tournament. The Providence Friars are the top overall seed, and they will play in the East Regional. They begin the tournament as the dominant team in college basketball. They've been ranked number 1 in the media poll for the past 2 weeks. Let's see if they can live up to everyone's expectations. On to the second number 1 seed, who will play in the South Regional. The Purdue Boilermakers are seeking their first ever NCAA championship. The Syracuse Orange are our third number 1 seed, and they'll play in the Midwest Regional. They're back in the tournament again, and no doubt they'll be feeding off the experience of last year's appearance as they try to get to the Final Four this year. And finally, our fourth number 1 seed will play in the West Regional. The North Carolina Tar Heels are in the tournament field as a number 1 seed for the 11th time in the history of their program. Now, here's how the brackets shape up based on where the number 1 seeds have been assigned. In one national semifinal game, the winner of the East Regional will play the winner of the South Regional. In the other semifinal game, the winner of the Midwest Regional will play the winner of the West Regional. Those games will be played on Saturday, April 6th. Then it'll be on to the national championship game on Monday night. Any surprises in there for you, Clark?
Not really. We talked all week about these 4 teams being the solid number 1 seeds, and I think the selection committee got it right. There isn't a whole lot of controversy with these picks.
So, with the number 1 seeds out of the way, it's finally time to tackle the rest of the brackets. First up, we take a look at the East Regional. The Providence Friars are the top seed, finishing at 31-2. They won both the regular season and conference tournament titles in the Big East. They will take on the winner of the opening round play-in game between Murray State, with 15 wins, and Cal Poly from the Big West. And now, the number 8 seed, the Northeastern Huskies, come into the tournament after finishing second in their conference during the regular season and were semifinalists in their conference tournament. They're going to play the number 9 seed, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who were 5th in their conference, finishing at 22-10. Duke comes in as the number 5 seed, finishing at 23-8. And they will take on the 12th seed from the Metro Atlantic Conference, the Fairfield Stags, with 20 wins. Texas A&M enters the field as the number 4 seed from the Big 12. This will be their 17th appearance ever in the NCAA tournament. They'll be getting ready to face the number 13 seed, the St. Mary's Gales, finished the season with 20 wins.
The Texas A&M Aggies are fresh off the championship of one of the toughest conference tournaments in all of college basketball, and you can't underestimate the effect that has on the confidence of these young men. I'm sure they're thinking that anything is possible right now. I think you've definitely got to look at them as one of the most dangerous teams in the entire field.
The Boston College Eagles are in as the number 6 seed. They'll be taking on the number 11 seed, the Rice Owls, with 18 wins. Stanford comes in as the number 3 seed, finishing at 26-6. New Hampshire comes in to face them at number 14 with 20 wins in the tournament and regular season championships of the America East Conference. Our number 7 seed is from the Big Ten. The Michigan State Spartans were rewarded for their outstanding play this season with an at-large bid and a ticket to the Big Dance. They are going to play the number 10 seed, the Texas El Paso Miners, who were 3rd in their conference, finishing at 23-9. Next up is the number 2 seed. The Memphis Tigers are the conference tournament and regular season champions from Conference USA. They'll be going up against the number 15 seed, the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, with 22 wins. This will be their 2nd appearance all time in the NCAA tournament. This bracket has the potential to give us a sensational matchup in the regional final if everything goes according to form and the top 2 seeds can survive the early rounds. Next up, we'll take a look at the South Regional. The Purdue Boilermakers are the top seed, finishing at 30-3. They were winners of the regular season championship in the Big Ten. They'll take on the Portland State Vikings, the number 16 ranked team. This is their 3rd appearance in the NCAA tournament in the history of their school. Hawaii comes in as the number 8 seed, finishing at 25-7. Marquette comes in to face them at number 9 with 21 wins, and the hopes of becoming America's darling with an underdog run through the regional. Pittsburgh enters the field as the number 5 seed from the Big East. This is their 24th appearance in the NCAA tournament in the history of their school. They'll be getting ready to face the number 12 seed, the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders, finished the season with 21 wins.
The Pittsburgh Panthers are a team that is just so powerful and strong up front. I would put their front court up against just about any other teams in the nation right now. It's always good to have strong guard play, but if you ask most coaches, I guarantee you they take the good big man over the good little man most times. Their interior play should serve them very well in this competition.
Kansas comes in as the number 4 seed, finishing at 25-8. And they'll take on the 13th seed from the Horizon League, the Cleveland State Vikings, with 21 wins. And now the number 6 seed, the Iowa State Cyclone, come into the tournament after finishing second in their conference during the regular season and were losers in their first game at their conference tournament. They are going to play the number 11 seed, the Xavier Musketeers, who came in first in their conference tournament, finishing at 24-8. The Indiana Hoosiers are in as the number 3 seed. They'll be taking on the number 14 seed, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, with 15 wins. Next up is the number 7 seed. The Prairie View Panthers are the conference tournament and regular season champions from the Southwestern Athletic Conference. They'll be going up against the number 10 seed, the Virginia Tech Hokies, with 20 wins. This is their 15th appearance in the NCAA tournament in school history. Our number 2 seed is from the Big East. The Fighting Irish of Notre Dame were rewarded for their outstanding play this season with an at-large bid and a ticket to the Big Dance. They're going to play the number 15 seed, the UNC Asheville Bulldogs, who came in first in their conference tournament, finishing at 17-11. What a tremendous regional final we'd have in this bracket if the number 1 and 2 seeds here make it through the first 3 rounds unscathed. That could be one of the games of the tournament. On to our third bracket of the day. Let's take a look at the Midwest Regional. The Syracuse Orange are the top seed, finishing at 29-4. They finished second in the Big East. They'll take on the away team, the number 16 ranked team. This will be their second appearance ever in the NCAA tournament. Our number 8 seed is from the SEC. The Kentucky Wildcats were rewarded for their outstanding play this season with an at-large bid and a ticket to the Big Dance. They're going to play the number 9 seed, the California Golden Bears, who were 6th in their conference, finishing at 21-11. The Ohio State Buckeyes are in as the number 5 seed. They'll be taking on the number 12 seed, the Creighton Blue Jays, with 25 wins. Florida enters the field as the number 4 seed from the SEC. This is their 21st appearance in the NCAA tournament in the history of their school. They'll be getting ready to face the number 13 seed, the Brigham Young Cougars, finished the season with 17 wins.
The Florida Gators are a team I love watching play. They've been one of the highest scoring teams in the country, and I don't see any reason for them to slow down during the tournament. If they can dictate the tempo of a game and force the other team to run with them, they are very hard to deal with. I wouldn't put it past these guys to make a run this year.
Kansas State comes in as the number 6 seed, finishing at 24-9. And they take on the 11th seed from the Northeast Conference, the Sacred Heart Pioneers, with 29 wins. And now the number 3 seed, the UCLA Bruins, come into the tournament on the strength of a 3rd-place finish in their conference regular season and finish 2nd in their conference tournament. They are going to play the number 14 seed, the Bucknell Bison, who came in 1st in their conference tournament, finishing at 19-13. Next up is the number 7 seed. The Oklahoma State Cowboys have established themselves as one of the best teams from the Big 12. They'll be going up against the number 10 seed, the Houston Cougars, with 19 wins. They return once more to the very familiar surroundings of the NCAA tournament. West Virginia comes in as the number 2 seed, finishing at 24-6. UNC Greensboro comes in to face them at number 15 with 18 wins in the tournament championship of the Southern Conference. Some of the lower seeds in this bracket have the ability to not only compete with the high seeds, but win a few games. The potential for a Cinderella or 2 in this bracket is definitely there. And finally, let's have a look at the West Regional. The North Carolina Tar Heels are the top seed, finishing at 28-5. They were winners of the regular season championship in the ACC. They'll take on the away team, the number 16 ranked team. This marks their 4th appearance all time in the NCAA tournament. Next up is the number 8 seed. The Delaware Blue Hens have established themselves as one of the best teams from the Colonial Athletic Association. They'll be going up against the number 9 seed, the Seton Hall Pirates, with 20 wins. This marks their 13th appearance all time in the NCAA tournament. USC comes in as the number 5 seed, finishing at 24-9. And they will take on the 12th seed from the Colonial Athletic Association, the Georgia State Panthers, with 19 wins. Wisconsin comes in as the number 4 seed, finishing at 24-8. Princeton comes in to face them at number 13 with 20 wins and the regular season championship of the Ivy League. Our number 6 seed is from the Colonial Athletic Association. The away team had a tremendous year that included a regular season championship. They are going to play the number 11 seed, the Penn State Nittany Lions, who came in first in their conference tournament, finishing at 21-13. The Washington Huskies are in as the number 3 seed. They'll be taking on the number 14 seed, the Southern Utah Thunderbirds, with 22 wins. And now the number 7 seed, the Louisville Cardinals, come into the tournament 6th in their conference during the regular season and finish 2nd in their conference tournament. They are going to play the number 10 seed, the Oregon Ducks, who were 5th in their conference, finishing at 19-12. Temple enters the field as the number 2 seed from the A-10 conference. It's yet another appearance in the brackets for a school that's no stranger to the NCAA tournament. They'll be getting ready to face the number 15 seed, the Ohio Bobcats. Finished the season with 15 wins.
The Temple Owls suffered a big upset in their conference tournament, but they've got to leave that behind them. Sometimes getting a loss like that out of the way before the NCAA tournament can actually help you. It can relieve some pressure and help the players get their focus back.
It's the first question every selection Sunday. Which is the toughest bracket? Well, this bracket looks to me like it wins that prize this year. Not only are the top seeds strong, the lower seeds can be dangerous as well. What are your thoughts on our top 16 seeds, Clark?
The Notre Dame Fighting Irish are a surprise to me as a 2 seed. They weren't quite strong enough to warrant that kind of position. They were more suited to get in as a 3 seed. Syracuse
is the least impressive to me of all the number 1s. I'm not saying that I think they are pushovers. I just think that they have the best chance of being knocked out before the Final Four.
Now, let's bring the conference picture into focus. The Big East gets 8 teams. The Big Ten with 6. 6 out of the Pac-10. The ACC gets 6 teams.
It was really an up year for the teams in the Colonial Athletic Association. They topped the non-power conferences with the number of bids they got, and it shows you how far this conference has come. They're becoming dominant at that level.
It's too bad we didn't see more small conference schools in the tournament. None of those conferences got more than 1 team in the tourney, and I don't expect any David and Goliath stories out of the teams that did get in.
I'm surprised there were so few bids for the teams in the Mountain West Conference. It was an especially disappointing year for that conference. Usually you can count on a few of the nation's elite teams coming out of there, but this was a season where very few of those teams could maintain any type of positive momentum.
Let's come back to the bubble teams that we mentioned earlier in the show and see which of the teams were able to get into the tournament.
Oregon got some very good wins over some very good teams, Greg, and that showed the selection committee that they can play with the toughest competition in the nation.
While those teams are celebrating getting into the tournament, let's take a look at the other teams who were on the short end of the stick.
Maryland
did not have a strong finish to the season, and it cost them an NCAA tournament bid. That just goes to show you how much weight the committee places on how you're playing at the end of a season.
Thanks, Clark. I'm sure that this year will provide us with all the thrills and excitement that we've come to expect from the tournament.
Greg, let's throw the ball up right now. I can't wait to get started. I hope this is an NCAA tournament that gives a lot of those special moments that stay with us for years to come.
For my partner Clark Kellogg and for all of us here in the 2K Sports Studios, I'm Greg Gumbel. Thanks for joining us on the NCAA Selection Show, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. Enjoy all the excitement of the NCAA tournament.
All right, now that the bracket is set, you guys know that we're going to be facing the Virginia Tech Hokies in the first round, a bubble team, a team that barely made the tournament. So we should be able to come out on top in this game. But it's going to be a great tournament. I think we have a chance at making it to another Final Four with this team because of the depth that we have. It doesn't matter if we get in foul trouble, we're still going to be able to have players on the court that can contribute. But I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Hit that like button and that notification bell, and you know what time it is next, baby. It's time to get the NCAA tournament started.